Ma Pimpo Haiti, the Haitian Diaspora Living in Haiti podcast. Today is another day, one more to add to the books. And despite the difficulties that may be going on in the world, we are still keeping our eyes on the prize, which is a Haiti that is able to improve, self-sustain. And it can only be done when the Haitian diaspora, those who are abroad, are able to bring back their towns, bring back their skill sets, bring back their capitals, and be successful. And as always, we have guests who are able to come on the show and provide perspective on their experiences, on their successes, on their difficulties, and how they overcome. And today I have an incredible friend, incredible associate, an incredible changer and mover in Haiti from America. Her name is Regine Theodat. I'm sure you've had to have seen her work, MyaBèl. She's someone who's really engaged the social media space, really dominated it, and has used it to expand her business in leaps and bounds. And if you haven't seen her, you've probably seen her cute daughter. Isa has been someone who's just been just taking hearts all across the internet. So if you haven't seen her, I'm sure you've seen Isa. Regine Theodat, I'm so happy to have you. How are you doing today, Regine?
I'm great, Chris. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Listen, it's been quite the set of times we've been in. And I'm sure your business has been affected as well. And we're going to talk about that. But I'm just happy to have you here. I always tell folks, it's so important to get the female perspective in, not just because it's necessary, right? And it's proven that the more we get engagement of women on all levels in every capacity and sector, the better the society is. And the better the growth qualitatively is. But just out of anecdotal experience myself, being able to be in Haiti, I've seen on a ratio of almost 3-to-1 the fact that it's more women than men in engaging and impacting. And most importantly, when it comes to doing business and dealing with folks, give me a woman's sage, rational, calm demeanor any day. So I'm very, very happy to have you. Very happy to have you, Regine. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Oh, you know what? I'm fantastic, blessed.
Yeah.
So today we're gonna hear your experience. We're gonna hear your perspective, your histoire, your background, and so for the folks who want just a quick elevator pitch of who Regine is, give it to them.
Well, first I just want to say thank you, Chris, for having me on the show today. And I do think it's very important, the work that you're doing, and particularly as we've seen this pandemic, I think more than ever, I've recommitted myself to this idea that we really should work on developing Haiti. And I hope the Haitian diaspora all around the world are feeling this, because I think what this pandemic has laid bare before us, it's really difficult to move forward past COVID-19 and not see clearly the different priorities of these more developed countries. To see the response by the U.S. government, it's been very disheartening. For me, I think it just highlights even more that Lakai c'est Lakai, and we really need to do something about making this a place that we all can live. Because at the end of the day, you're seeing the treatment, you're seeing the numbers of who's passing away from COVID, you're seeing the different ways and the incredible disparities across wealth classes. And then I hope that that is enough of an ignition for us to start working on Haiti. So shows like this are great. I mean, even before COVID, I was always happy to participate in things like this, because I do think one of the avenues that we can help to develop Haiti is to get the diaspora more engaged. And that being said, to a short little elevator pitch. And so you mentioned my business, MyaBèl. MyaBèl was my first foray into business in Haiti, and actually my first foray into business at all. I never considered myself an entrepreneur before I started working on MyaBèl. It's a food and beverage company, and I ran that company for several years, right up until December of 2019. I resigned December 31st, actually. So as of January 1st, the business is now run by my partner, my partner in many ways, my partner in life, my husband, but also my partner in business, Junior. And so people may have seen a shift in the social media posts and the different business strategies that were going on, and it's because I resigned. I resigned for a multitude of reasons. Definitely, not because I didn't believe in the business, not because I don't believe in development in Haiti, not because I don't believe in business in Haiti, but just for me personally, it was the right choice. And it's an interesting experience for somebody like me because I'm always very go, 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 go. And so to take the time to really just think through things and takes from some lessons learned that I learned over the years with MyaBèl, and to take that into my next venture. So currently right now, I still work in business, and I always have. In addition to MyaBèl, which was sort of my side hustle that grew, not sort of, it was my side hustle, and it just started to explode after about 3 or 4 years. I have always worked in the nonprofit management. I run a small foundation in Haiti that focuses on agribusiness and also education. And so for me, that was always a way. There's always been sort of like a development undertone in all the work that I do, particularly in agribusiness. And so for me, MyaBèl was like that food and transformation part of agribusiness. And for the work that I do for this small nonprofit, it's more of like the farming network kind of space, and also the fishery space. And so they were similar but different. Recently, since I've moved away from MyaBèl, I've opened up a little bit more time for myself. So I now also work in tech. And so it's an interesting time for me as I go through these different spaces in Haiti. I feel like I'm getting a very varied view of all the different industries here. And what's interesting when I'm working now in tech and in telecommunications is that I've started to really understand an entire new kind of industry in Haiti. I rarely worked with non-governmental agencies in a profound manner. I ran a nonprofit, but for anyone who isn't in Haiti, nonprofit and NGO are pretty different. So the nonprofit is more like the foundation space, and it's just a different funding mechanism. And when you get into a larger NGO space, it's totally different. And it was always something that I sort of was hesitant to get into because I have my own personal interactions and my own personal biases and understandings of NGOs in Haiti. And I think anyone with a healthy criticism of how Haiti has developed probably has something similar. And so it was always a space that I wanted to understand more because I felt like it was something that I didn't know very well. And it's sort of the very last piece of Haiti that I feel like I don't have to understand fully this landscape that we're in. And so that's what I'm doing now. And I hope that these different experiences will lend me to figure out what my next business venture will be if I choose to go that route again, or if I continue to do consulting.
I love it. I love it. That's a mouthful. We're going to dissect a lot of that, especially that business side of it. Much to, so many questions I have and the folks listening have. So, but we're going to get to it. We're going to really grab that to the second half of the show. So don't worry, folks who are just anxious. I really want to get across. The history of Regine, because Regine is like so many of the folks who come on my PPIET podcast, the common woman. I'm the common man, right? But we just made a decision sometime along the chain to be the difference maker, right? And so but before we get to that particular point, tell us about where you grew up, Regine. Tell us about how your relationship with your identity was as you grew up, and of course, then the tail end, university, and where were you career-wise when you did finally decide to start moving towards Haiti?
It's always an interesting question for me to figure out how to answer, because when I've been in Haiti for 10 years this July. And when I meet other people who've moved back to Haiti or expated or repatriated back to Haiti, they've always been very into Haitian society in the U.S. They were part of the different organizations. They lived in a high population area of Haitian people. And this was very different for me. So I grew up, and you can probably tell from my accent, I grew up right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, in this area called Cambridge, Massachusetts. I don't know if anyone is familiar with it, but I grew up in that area. I grew up in a Haitian household, obviously. Both my parents are Haitian. They left in 1986. I happen to have been born in the US, but my parents, my mother moved back to Haiti after a few months after I was born. And both my parents were professionals in Haiti, but I think they were just reading the tendencies of the country. My dad was an architect, my mother was a med tech. So they both, were middle class, but still were like, I'm not sure that this country's gonna make a whole lot of sense to raise our family. And so I grew up in Cambridge in a Haitian household, eating Haitian food, but I did grow up with parents that had consciously left Haiti and had consciously made the decision that this wasn't going to be a place that they could raise children. And the late 80s and the early 90s, we're all familiar with Haitian history. They were proven correct. Like they were proven that it was going to be, it's quite difficult, not impossible. Plenty of people raised their kids in Haiti at that time period. But in the experience that they were going through, it just always, their decision was forced time and time again. And so although I grew up in a Haitian household, I didn't grow up with a lot of Haitian people around me. In the area of Cambridge where we lived, there was a sizable Haitian population just because it's near Boston, but it's not the same as like Hyde Park or any of those other things. And so I didn't really speak Creole in my household. My parents always spoke it to us, but we were in Cambridge. It was was mixed. It was so we spoke English back to them. We always ate Haitian food, and we always said we were Haitian, and I was always proud to be Haitian. But I can't actually pinpoint where this like strong connection to Haiti comes from, because it's my strong connection to Haiti is different than my siblings. I think my siblings have developed theirs later on in life, but for some strange reason, I was always super connected to Haiti. And one of the reasons why I decided that I wanted to go to law school, and I specifically remember the time that I developed this need to be a lawyer, is I was around 7. At the time, I was like hell-bent on being a psychologist. But my family there would be discussions, and we all heard them. Like whenever our family members got together, it'd be like, oh, Haiti, blah, blah, blah. It was like the 90s. It was the embargoes. It was all this stuff that was going on. Like it was Aristides getting kicked out again. No, he's coming back. And it was just all these complications, and they were always talking about it. And whenever I heard, for me, what I always heard is that one was lawless and one wasn't. And obviously, now as an adult, and I can see the nuances. I didn't see, but as a 7, 8-year-old, everything was very black and white. So I was like, okay, law is the reason why Haiti isn't like this. I'm going to learn about law. And so I kind of always kept that in the back of my head. And then somewhere along my teenage years, it became like a fire. Like I needed to be a lawyer. And so I was a lawyer. I became a lawyer by the time I was 24. But even though this need to be a lawyer was fed by this like strange connection and love for Haiti, and I can't tell you where it came from, because although my parents didn't disparage Haiti, although they didn't necessarily tell us not to consider ourselves Haitian, it wasn't something that, the connection I had didn't make a whole lot of sense given the environment that I was in. But I always, on my school reports, I was just so unbelievably connected and proud to be Haitian. And I'm not quite sure where that came from. And so I was a 24-year-old lawyer, but I did corporate law. I had no desire to do like, oddly, nonprofit. I had no desire to do like immigration law. I liked corporate law. I liked business. I liked the ability to, and I particularly liked financial crimes. I just loved the ability to sit with finances. It was just strange. It was like two contradictory forces at that time. Now everything makes sense, because now everything comes full circle. I understand the different ways that my brain functioned, how it ended up leading me to where I am now. But I was a 24-year-old lawyer, and I wanted to be corporate law, and I had never even considered the idea of living in Haiti. I thought, when I was like 55 and rich, I was gonna come do a sabbatical in Haiti and do like some like ridiculous thesis paper, or like, I don't know, like a very detailed theoretic paper that would have probably done not a whole lot for the country. But it never popped into my head that I would move to Haiti. And oddly, within a year, I was living in Haiti. And so after the earthquake, I was working in a firm in Boston. And although I love the work, for people who don't know Boston well, Boston is very white shoe. It's very, although it's a progressive state, it sometimes feels very strange that the corporate side of Boston can be so corporate because it's within a progressive state. But at the end of the day, this progressive state is probably just progressive on paper, but also very limiting in other ways. And so I loved the work and I did not love the environment. And so things just made sense. The earthquake happened. I said, you know, I'm going to take a 3-month stint to Haiti. It made zero sense. This is somebody who was a 25-year-old at that time. I'd turned 25 lawyer. I was working in a firm. I had just graduated from law school with all this debt. None of it made sense. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Haiti for 3 months and I'm going to do human rights work. I had never taken a human rights class. I was so anti this entire nonprofit world because I was so turned off by the way this like savior mentality was. And then I just ended up in a nonprofit doing human rights work in Haiti, in Cité Soleil, in Boisneuf. And like, imagine my parents. So my parents who fled Haiti in 1986, raised their kids. Their kids had gone to Catholic schools. They made all this sacrifice. And then finally, your kid that you spent all of these years sacrificing yourself, like you were a professional, you left everything behind. You started from scratch. You had to get a new degree. Like you were an actual professional and you had to start from zero because you went to a new country. Like imagine like the process of that. And then your kid finally makes it. She's 25, she's working, and she's like, I'm going to Haiti. And they were like, excuse me, what? Like, you don't even speak Creole that well. Like my parents were like, when is the last time you said anything more than bonjour, comment vous? Like it made zero sense and literally, and I'm very headstrong. And I was like, okay, bye. I was on a plane and I was gone for months. And I didn't come back until December. And by then I'd kind of made the decision that I wasn't going to leave because I was doing human rights work and I kept on doing these seminars about knowing your rights. Like I would do like these, I was in Boisneuf, Cité Soleil. So for people who don't know, Cité Soleil it's like one of the roughest shanty towns in Port-au-Prince. It's an unfortunate area of total mismanagement, and this is what happens when you don't urban plan. And so I was in this area. I was doing these know your rights seminars, and I was like, you know, stringing together my Creole, and I think everyone there was probably like, what on earth is this? Like, this girl is crazy. Like I was like, you have the right to water. You have the right to do this. And they were looking at me like, what? I have the right for water? Actually, like, have you seen what's going around here? And so they would always ask me for jobs every single time, not even jobs. They would ask me, how do I get out of the country? So they weren't coming to my seminars because I was giving valuable information. They were coming to my seminars because they heard there was an American lawyer and they figured that I could probably help them with an immigration pass to get to the US. And that for me is when it started clicking, that I really should be using my skills to work on some kind of job creation. And although I've never considered myself an entrepreneur, in fact, I consciously made the decision to not consider myself an entrepreneur. I thought of myself as being way too risk adverse, but I was in a situation where I was like looking around at all, like, frankly, at the time, a lot of incompetence. I was like, you know what? If so-and-so can do it, so can I. And that's essentially how I ended up going into business.
That is quite the journey. And what I was able to get most out of it, that was the fact that there wasn't necessarily a reason, right? A lot of folks, you know, will always ask me, what was the reason, Chris? What was the thing? And I was like, there wasn't ever a thing. It just kind of happened. But I've always felt a connection. You know, I almost call it spiritual, to the point where it's funny now. Yeah, right. It's funny, right? Like even when I leave now, I honestly, I get sick. I remember when I first moved to Haiti, in 2 years, I spent about 2 years or so in country, was full time. Then I had to do an extended clip back in America for about 3-4 months. And I kid you not, I think when my body knew I was like, this wasn't just a short thing, getting off the plane, like literally within a few days, I started to get these, like, I hate to describe it like this, but like these little boils that were just ballooning painfully everywhere. And
I get it.
And then eventually I figured out, I don't know, it was some sort of bacterial infection. So I took some antibacterial, what is that, penicillin, or what is that?
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, penicillin.
Yeah. And then it went away. But then literally most recently when, this COVID, airports shut down and I got stuck here, like literally very quickly that same week, I started getting these nasty stomach aches, like nasty stomach bugs / aches, which folks who watch Haiti Biz News saw me soldier through an episode. And I can only say, like, I'm a guy, I've been healthy my whole life. I don't know what an ER looks like, right? I've been super healthy. And just to have this sort of, only when I'm back in America, I think there's a connection here where my spirit's finally at ease. And now my spirit leaves, it just feels right. And it just manifests in these physical elements. That's just a theory. I don't know yet. No,
I completely think it's true. Have you ever heard that concept of your belly button being pulled back to your roots?
Okay.
Yeah,
no.
It's a Haitian expression. So it's like your ancestors pull you by your belly button back to your place.
And the one theory that a family member in Haiti gave me was the fact that, because I was actually born in Haiti. When you mentioned your family left in 1986, I was born in Haiti in 1986. Okay. And left about when I was 3.
Oh, and so you're a spring chicken.
Yeah, right. And so my folks, my other brothers were born here in the States. And so the folks were like, oh, well, it's because they're born here and you were born there. That's why you have this ancestral connection. I'm like, hey, this is your story. You weren't born in Haiti,
no.
Right? You were born in the States, but yeah, you still kind of had that spiritual connection. So it manifests in different ways, right? And so
it does.
So now you're in the part where you're in Haiti now. You're in Haiti now, and you decided, okay, you're gonna open up a business. So walk us through that. Like, how did?
Well, it wasn't totally like that. So. It's very funny. Everything is very serendipitous. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been able to stay very long. And I've noticed this with other people that have got jaded and left. I didn't have a whole lot of expectations. So I was just, I was going with the flow. I was like, okay, well, this is happening, whatever. And so where I was at the time when this business opportunity presented itself, I had left human rights work and I had started working in international development for the same nonprofit that I work for now, the same foundation. And I was doing all of this work with, at the time, there was this project called Zafen, which was Zafenu. And it was a microcredit lending platform for small and growing businesses in Haiti. And so I was working with the Vincentian Family Haiti Initiative, which I still work for now. And I was doing all of this work that didn't fully connect. And so I sort of got this idea that I would propose that I push that the organization start working more on business, and let's do like a full-on research, or what would you call it? Like a full-on market research to figure out what's the best direction for this foundation to go in. And so I was in the process of doing all these interviews. I was looking at all these different businesses, and it was really interesting because I got the opportunity to be able to look at various industries and have somebody else assist on helping me find funding for them. And so I ended up in fisheries. And so that by the time that I had the MyaBèl, which was my first business, had presented that opportunity, I'd already gotten my feet quite wet with different things in Haiti. Like I had gone through the process of doing large-scale market research. I had gone through the process of figuring out how to do things legally in Haiti. I'd gone through so many different processes. And so at that point, who was then my boyfriend, my husband was my husband now and was my partner at MyaBèl, he and another person had this space that they rented. It was just like a garage space. And it was 2011. And at that point, I had been complaining a lot in Haiti because I couldn't find a good drink, like a good mixed cocktail. And I thought it was very strange. I had, through law school and college, I had worked in restaurants, I had bartended, and it felt very strange to me that in Haiti, where like literally the best tropical fruits exist, we didn't have good cocktails. And that's changed now. Now in Haiti, it's like a totally different landscape. So I think if I moved to Haiti now, I would have even thought about this. But you can get great cocktails everywhere here. But at the time, you could really only get like a rum punch and it was covered in sugar, and it honestly was not that tasty unless you. At the time, I didn't know the tricks. Like I had to ask them, less sugar or more lime. And so I started helping them. Like I just started, because I was very adverse to business. I was very adverse to the risk. I didn't want to take on the risk. And so I was just like giving my suggestions, and being the type A++ that I am, my suggestions became me taking things over. I had developed a menu. I had 20 artisanal cocktails on the menu that were named after areas of Guadeloupe. I had developed this entire plan. My love for Haitian culture really just took off. Like the uniforms were carabela dresses. And it was just so fascinating to go through this process, because I was doing this very Haiti business, but getting pushback from Haitians. And so I would be like, we really need to have all these trees in the yard and keep it very Haitian. They're like, no, 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 no. We need to close everything up. It needs to be air conditioned. It needs to be this. And I'd be like, we need to have carabela dresses. And people were like, no, no, no. They're going to wear black pants and white shirts and a bow tie. And it was just so interesting. It was because I, as a diaspora, I guess, sort of like had this love for things that I considered to be Haitian culture, and people here were trying to emulate the US. And so it was just a very interesting experience to go through all of this. And it was just this constant need to opine and be helpful that got me involved in MyaBèl in the first place. And so MyaBèl at the time was just a restaurant. So that's what it started off as. It started off as a cocktail bar that celebrated Haitian culture through drinks. And when we opened up, of course, in Guadeloupe, it didn't make a whole lot of sense, because, you want to have a cocktail bar that celebrates drinks in Guadeloupe, and you're serving like free Thai food. It really doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And so by then we realized that the food had to change. And so we developed the sauces. And so we had the sauces, and we had those really great cocktails. We had 20 artisanal sauces. We had our mango pickles. We had our passion fruit ginger sauce. And we had this sauce zancette that has like the pineapple, tomato, earthy sauce. Those three MyaBèl flavors. And that's when I felt like the idea of MyaBèl kind of was created. Like this was a business. This was a way to show my love for Haiti and food.
I made the mistake of doing this interview without eating breakfast yet. So, but go on, continue.
Yeah. And so we had this restaurant. It was failing because it was sort of, it didn't make a whole lot of sense. It was in Guadeloupe. It was far from everything, but it was our hometown. And we were like, you know what? We're not opening up in Pétionville. We're not opening up in Delmont. This is where we're opening up our space. And in the end, it ended up paying off to do it that way. But what happened is, because we were in a red zone. Like there was a time in 2004 where we had been categorized as a red zone, and the NGOs had never updated it. So people who wouldn't fight us about the menu, like who were used to eating fusion things and used to drinking fusion cocktails, were people that were working in like nonprofits and NGOs, like a lot of like diaspora or expats. So the local population were like, why are you putting mango inside pickles? Like pickles doesn't have mango. And so we were red zoned. And so one of our friends, her name is Caitlin, and she was actually who we ended up creating our first business plan off of. She said, can you bottle this? Because I can't make it here. I'm not allowed to go. And a lot of my friends aren't allowed to go. Can you bottle this mango pickles? And I never did it because I was tired of the business. Like it was like, I'd done all this work and it wasn't successful. I had read that 18 months was normal for a restaurant to take off, and it had been past 18 months. And she was like, can you bottle your mango pickles? And I was like, leave me alone. Stop asking me to do something else for our business. And for a solid year, I did totally ignore this request, totally ignored it. And then I was like, fine, I'm going to figure out how to bottle mango pickles. I'd never canned anything before in my life. I was a lawyer turned entrepreneur type restaurant person. I was back to working in restaurants, which I really didn't like. I didn't like working in restaurants when I was in law school. It always frustrated me. And so I was back doing something that I didn't fully like. And on top of that, I was losing money. And so we made a case of mango pickles. She purchased the mango pickles and she gave it to all of her friends. And for whatever reason, like one series of things ended up in another. We had sold thousands of units in an 18-month time period. And it was incredible. Like it was what launched our business into something else. But it was funny because we didn't expect it to happen. And so I had just used the template on Publisher to make a label. And it was, so whenever we went someplace, somebody else would have the exact same label as us because it was a default label on Publisher for canned goods. And so our marketing was terrible. And then a few months after, in 2016, we participated in a social business accelerator, and it forced me to focus on my business. Because remember, I was also working a nonprofit. It was a side hustle, so I wasn't fully focused on it. My nonprofit work, I really loved. It was agribusiness. I was working in fisheries. I was working with farmers networks. What I didn't realize at the time is that this work and this foundation would create the know-how I would need to be able to create a farmers network for the ingredients we needed for MyaBèl. But I was working on that. And so once we did that social business accelerator, I focused. I had a 3-month time period where I just did the business model canvas. I focused. We did a proper launch in April 2016, and the rest was history. We had our bottled cocktails and sauces. We added, a year and a half later, we added our bottled iced teas and hot sauces. And then we started working on kombucha, and we started making our name for ourselves. We were on the Conan O'Brien show, which really helped. And it just from there, from a simple, yes, I don't mind helping you with this. I work in restaurants. I need a good drink. Let me be creative in my apartment and figure out a few drinks. And it turned into a full-fledged food and beverage company. When I left, we had 18 employees. We had 65 farmers in our network. We had 14 products in our line, and we were working on launching 12 Frisco syrups and 3 kombuchas, along with 3 new cocktails. So we were about to be in the 30s with our lineup of products. And so it was interesting. Like, the person who was risk adverse, who barely spoke Creole, who moved to Haiti on a whim because I just felt this weird calling after the earthquake, who just said yes to helping somebody develop a few drinks here. And then before I knew it, I had found out that I actually was very entrepreneurial.
That's the thing about entrepreneurship. It's one thing, you hear it all the time. It's not teachable. It's something you kind of do or you can't do. Now, there are aspects that are helpful. And you mentioned that when you were had the chance to be in an incubator setting, right, or accelerator is what you used, you were able to really focus. And I'm sure that accelerator, did it provide certain resources and tips to help in that capacity? What did that accelerator sort of offer you?
Yeah, and so we used this model. It was called the business model canvas. And so in the past, I had written business plans. I mean, as a lawyer, I was able to, we're good at writing lots of stuff, like long, beautiful prose of pages of information and research. So I always had beautiful business plans. They were beautiful. Like, there were 65 pages of graphics, and I'm pretty creative. So they were beautiful business plans, but they were never practical. And so I think that was one of the reasons why it sort of was like anti-gut. Like, it was like you wrote this business plan and then you wanted to follow the plan. But then as an entrepreneur, a lot of it is about your gut. You absolutely have to do research. You absolutely have to know your numbers. You absolutely have to control your inputs and your outputs. But a lot of it is, with that information, it formulates your ability to use your gut to make quick decisions. And so this business model canvas was like a way for somebody like me who was very visual to visualize my entire business and put into mechanisms and thought processes what I wanted to see. And then that allowed me to create 2 to 3 page plans. And so just the business model canvas in of itself launched all these new tools that I developed over the years to help me do 6-month plans. Like, I would have 6-month plans, 3-month plans, 2-week plans. I broke things down, and then we executed. And then eventually brought other people on board that helped us execute. And for me, that was the best tool that I learned from that accelerator. They did do really good finance work with us, but there was supposed to be at the end some sort of financing, but that did not pan out. We actually ended up declining the financing because it didn't make sense for our business. And so if I would say that tool, I always recommend that tool for entrepreneurs.
The terms sounded very onerous, and so you wisely stepped away from it. Very good.
The terms were. I think you know which accelerator I was talking about. Yeah. The terms were ridiculous, and they actually don't even exist in Haiti anymore.
Right. So now your firm's established, and you're selling units. You're in grocery stores all across the country, right? And now what folks I'm sure are curious to know is now, you know, you initially you were certainly focused on getting your product out in Haiti. How that transition to America and getting your product out, because I know right now there is you have a growing footprint. MyaBèl has a growing footprint in the States. I know very recently, as of recent as just last year, you were at some festivals stateside. I remember seeing you, having your setup. So talk about that. How can, and also before I want to ask this too, before I forget, I want to talk about that farmers network too, how you set that up. That's very interesting. Yeah. A lot of folks want to hear that, but also, now you're getting your product out the stateside. Talk about some of, 2 or 3 things that have really been helpful to you on that front.
Yeah. And so interestingly, when we first started our business, I didn't think we would be selling a lot in Haiti. I thought we would sell it a couple places, then we go straight to export. But we just never really fully saturated the Haitian market. And in a way, it was good and bad. In a way, what was good about it is that I felt like by the time we made it to the US, we felt like an authentic Haiti brand. Something I didn't want to have. You know how Haitian people are, we don't mince words. Like I think by the time you make it through the Haitian market, if your product is not good, the Haitian market would have like eliminated you already, with just like the way people are so direct. And so it allowed us to refine our product with the best audience that could possibly refine a Haitian-based food product. And so we just never saturated the market, and we just kept on finding new places. And the market in Haiti is actually, I think, a lot bigger than a lot of people think it is. Certainly bigger than I thought it was. I thought we would sell like a few thousand units in Haiti, and we were well over that within the first year and a half. And so what pushed us to go to the US is it was always our plan. So we started doing it. But I would always get distracted. Like I would always get distracted with what was going on in Haiti. I would always get distracted with production. I wasn't living in the US, so I was also running production in our atelier, our workshop. And so those distractions were constant. What pushed us actually to be more focused on Haiti was the constant pays lock. And that was like 6 weeks of like not being able to ship anything to clients in the US and all this, and not being able to get to the supermarkets, nobody being able to get to go to work and produce. And so I was like, okay, so this is do or die. I either focus on the US and focus on international export, or I'm not sure I'm going to be able to continue to pay these employees. And so that was it. And just like by the time people were bringing our product as gifts for people, and so the diaspora were asking for it, and there was just people are hungry to see Haitian products succeed, and so they were always very happy to facilitate places for us to hold our product. We would get the festivals that we did in the US. People were the ones that asked us to be in them. We did not like physically go out and look for them. We were offered them, and they were definitely whole new markets and avenues for us to be able to get in front of a new audience. And so it was the FDA process is no joke. That was the most difficult part, but I had set up the business from the get-go with that idea that I would end up in the US. So I took the FDA course before we even created our workshop where we produce our foods. I had made sure that we had followed all the rules. We do all the documentation of all the products and what we're supposed to, et cetera. And so those already existed.
Okay. So that's something to keep in mind, folks. There's FDA courses that exist out there. You should take it. Especially if you're in the food and beverage space.
You can't unless you take them. You can't export without them. You need to have a certificate.
All right. So make sure you follow those process. How long is that, by the way? Is it a 2-3 week sort of deal? Is it a few months?
No, it's very short. It depends. Okay. You can do it over a 2-day time period. Okay, it's good. Online. I did online, and so if you do it in person, it's 2 days. But I literally mine took several weeks because I did 1 unit at a time, and we didn't need it yet. We weren't open yet. I took probably like 12 weeks to do it, but it was very informative. I mean, it's helpful. Like once you take it, it's like helpful to take it because then you need it for your business.
Tell us about the Farmers Network. How did you set? Because I know a lot of folks we talk about here, on the podcast and other platforms. We talk about the need for agricultural to be included in the future of the country, and particularly getting it up to speed to be able to export out and bring its riches and bring income in, right? So setting up that Farmers Network, to give us a sort of high to mid level of how you went about it. How can someone go about it to get that put together?
So it was sort of accidental. We do have a farm. MyaBèl has a farm. And so to set up a network, it was interesting. So MyaBèl has many partners, and it was always interesting to have the process of the different ways the partners saw things. So for me, I was always very focused on a network. I wasn't super interested in planting. I thought we had 72 odd ingredients in our business. And so for me, the network seemed practical because 72 ingredients, growing that on a farm is a lot of logistics. And so the farmers network, it just happened as we would go to the marché and we would buy products and we would say, where did you get this product from? And then we just like literally paper and a pen, back a napkin, just started creating this network. And then because I was always in the countryside for my work with the foundation, I would also have all these farmers that I would see around. And I would say, what time period do you plant this and what time period do you plant this? And then we just started adjusting our production around it because our product, once it was transformed, could last at least 18 months bottled. And so we were able to, 6 months wouldn't make a major difference. So if I needed to make the units I would need for the next year in November versus February, it didn't make much of a difference to do it between those 4 months. And so there would be seasons when things were in season, we would create a lot of sauces set, like pineapple season. That's when we would do thousands of our sauces set, and that would be like the stock, or not thousands, hundreds, and that would be the stock. And then we would do the pineapple iced tea that also used pieces of the extracts from the pineapple from the sauces set. And so that's just how we did it. And then little by little, our network was created to the point where people would ask us, oh, get tomate, madame, oh, I have this, I have that. And that's just how it happened. It was never a perfect system. We never had enough farmers on our network because we could never buy enough from them. We could never buy a whole garden from them because we had an issue of space, keeping things for a long term and producing them quickly. And so we would always run into problems. And so our network never felt fully complete. And so we would try to balance it with the farm, but we would still also have to constantly buy on the fly and outside of our network.
Okay, makes sense. So but when you connect with these farmers, did you offer them sort of like a sort of futures contract to say, hey, the stuff off the ground, reserve it for me and I'll pay you such and such? Or was it already grown and you bought it from them? How did you set those relationships up?
It would be both. Okay. I would say things like I would buy gardens or I'd buy trees. And so like I would buy the entire harvest off of one mango tree. So I would say to somebody, okay, that mango tree, kite bome. And they would, that actually is very common in Haiti is the concept of buying somebody's garden. A lot of places do it. Like a lot of exporters, like the mango exporters will buy a tree. And so you get to buy that. You can either pay half up front. It's up to you. It depends on your relationship with the farmer. And you get the entire harvest off that tree for the year. It's great for the farmer because they don't have to deal with like the marché and the whatever. You go pick it up and you just bring it. And they just literally have to pick it. And sometimes I would wait until they had ingredients that were ready. So I would be in the countryside. I was around the countryside quite a bit when obviously before I had East and when I was still with MyaBèl, I was constantly in different parts of the country. And it was, for me, I had this love of Haiti. So I loved it. Like I loved going around to all these places. I loved connecting with farmers. I loved the production part. Like my dream business would be production and not have to deal with like the marketing side and all the other back office things. But the ability to connect with the farmers, get farmers networks going, understand the supply chain. This for me was the part of our business where I could see this is what people should be focusing on in Haiti if we want to develop. Like these untouched, miraculously beautiful plots of land, hard workers and people are starting to value this traditional way of farming because it creates less, it's more organic. And so just this opportunity to be able to do that and move all over the place was, for me, one of the best parts of MyaBèl, for sure.
And that's the one thing that when I say we've, like the history of Haiti has missed out on, has been from the beginning. There's always been this desire to imitate like large plantation style, where there's a one owner and lots of workers, where the reality of where Haiti is and has been is that there's so many people living in the country that needed not only subsistence, but also the capacity to sort of make income. And honestly, if you're going to progress in today's Haiti, it really coming in and creating a centralized model doesn't make any sense, right? You want to look for producers, these small producers who are producing quality products, especially now we live in an era of, again, as you mentioned, organic. You can buy these products from these individuals and then resell them as you see fit. You sell them as necessary, right? Yeah. And so the fact that you're doing that currently is great, right?
Well, MyaBèl is doing it currently. I am not currently doing it.
Right, MyaBèl was doing it currently, right? Which is great.
Yeah, I was doing it, but MyaBèl currently still does that.
Right. So talk about that sort of maturation, because we do have to broach it, right? How you're not involved any longer, even though it sounds like you were very much a soul and spirit of a lot of the initiatives. So tell folks about that transition, as much as you want to talk about that. And the transition was, anything you spend that much time with and that you put a lot of your heart and soul into, the transition will always be a bit difficult. And I was certainly fortunate enough to have the Spitfire, that is my daughter, to be a distraction in that time period. But the transition has been interesting. As I mentioned before, my business partner and also like my partner in life is the person who runs the business, and our production facility is literally next door to where we live. I still see quite a bit of it. I still see all of our employees. My front gallery, what is that gallery in English? My front porch right now is baskets of limes. And so I still see MyaBèl quite a bit. And it's so funny now, my investment, I transitioned it to my daughter. So my 15-month-old is a majority shareholder in MyaBèl. So I get a kick out of that, to think that she's like the true boss. And so the transition was, it was pretty smooth. I had a lot of different things to take my mind off it. I had started moving into tech. About a month later, I moved into this tech space. And so I still work for the foundation, and I have this other thing that I do. And the foundation is, what's been really beautiful about the work that I did at the foundation is I'm also in a transition out of that organization. So this organization is one that, how people start nonprofits in Haiti and they're always like, we're going to work ourselves out of a job. And you kind of always think to yourself, yeah, whatever. But actually, after 7 years, we've actually done it. So I'm transitioning out of that role, and we've replaced all of the things that we as higher up management do with local roles. And so we have 14 full-time workers now that have taken over the different things that we in middle management, upper management have done. So I've pulled back about 50%. And I'm going to pull back to 25% after June. And so I'm also transitioning out of that nonprofit space. And then we'll be focusing fully on tech and whatever other small projects I have on the side then. And so it was timely, because it was just a period of overall transition across the board. And so for me, it was just like I had that transition time, and I had the time to focus on my daughter, and the time to really think about what it is that I want to be working on in Haiti, given that I've pretty much touched just about every industry in Haiti and every part and facet in Haiti, aside from government. So it sounds like, certainly, and it's something we have to appreciate from your story, is that a lot of folks feel the need when they start a venture that they have to stick through it, even though they may not necessarily want to do it anymore, or they see a better opportunity, right? But they feel sort of, I don't know, encapsulated degree of responsive. I don't know what the right word is, but they're held back, even though they don't. I guess it's a fear of failure. A part of it might be like, oh well, if I leave it, it's a failure. But that's not what it is. In fact, those who are most successful are those who are able to pivot quickly to new opportunities, right? And get on them at the right time, right? And of course, the thing you were doing before doesn't necessarily mean that it goes away. You just necessarily put less time, energy at that time, and you can always come back. But in your case, it's great because your partner is handling the day to day, and business is still functioning, sales are still happening, production is still occurring, right? And so there isn't necessarily a drop off, but and it allows you to transition to newer, fresher opportunities that you know Haiti has plenty of, plenty of them. So in that particular realm, talk to us about what you're seeing. Talk to us about where you feel the next opportunity is, perhaps for you or for others. Where is that direction going? I know you did mention you're really starting to get into consulting more.
So I mean, honestly, for me, I'm not sure yet what the next avenue is. If I ever choose to go back into owning my own business, I'm quite happy doing the work that I am now in the tech industry and the telecommunications and understanding that entire industry. So certainly for now, that's definitely consuming a lot of my mental space. But for me, across in Haiti, I do see quite a bit. Like for me, I've always just seen Haiti as a land of opportunity, for sure. I think it's difficult to work here. I would never tell somebody to sell everything they own and move to Haiti. That would never come out of my mouth. You have to decide on your own that this is something that you want to do. But there is so many different opportunities. And I do think for certain people who feel like something is pulling you back, and you feel like you have what it takes, and just, I guess, shoot your shot. I see a lot of opportunities in agribusiness. I see a lot of opportunities. For me, the agri-industry for me is where it's at in Haiti. This ability to transform, this ability to scale, the ability to have people work. I mean, you have to be realistic. You have to look at who you have as workers here. You have I hate when they say this word lower skilled, because the skill set they have is incredibly valuable. And that is something I definitely learned in MyaBèl. When I looked at, and I saw the way our ladies would transform the different mangoes or pineapples or whatever they would use, and they would even just their knife skills are so common here, which they are not in the US. I don't know if you ever, I was always so amazed how my parents would cut an orange. You know how a Haitian person cuts an orange and they have the orange in one hand, the knife in the other hand, and they just circle it?
Yeah, circle it. Man, that
everybody
perfect
here
circle
can do it.
thing. Yeah, I can't.
You know how to do it? I can't do it. Everybody here can do it. And I don't understand. It's just and we call them low skilled workers. We should probably call them different skilled workers.
Right.
And so this precision that they have with producing these things, this patience, I don't have it. I'll be like, oh God, that's so annoying. We have to strain this again. They're like, no, for them, it's not a big deal. It's just it's part of that. We have this love we put into anything related to food, which is in and of itself agriculture. That's just different. And I think that's, for me, whenever I see opportunities in Haiti, I see it in transformation. I don't think that level of precision in a human you can find in a machine. I don't think it exists, because something changes once you start adding machines to your line. But just that artisanal way of producing things, it really does create a beautiful end product. And so we just have so many different industries that are related to that artisanal way of producing things. And it's valued at a premium now. It's funny, people are realizing that we need to start going backwards. We need to start getting back to the ways that we used to produce things. When we did this big factory, big machinery kind of things, we've lost a lot. We've lost the health benefits of a lot of our foods. We've lost the ability to create meaningful jobs for people, and that is affecting the economy in ways that we didn't expect. I mean, if COVID is not a clear example of that, I don't know what it is. And so I see things in agriculture, I see things in telecommunications. I mean, tourism, I always have this back and forth this idea about tourism, and I do see opportunities with it, but I also see the pay luck for 7 times in a 2-year time period. and then people like losing tons of money. But MyaBèl is still able to exist even through the pay lock and the corona and all these other things. And that's like a sort of industry that's a little bit insulated from a lot of those other issues that you see that other like tourism maybe is getting affected by.
I agree. You know, one thing that's an essential service and is still selling now is food, right? And in fact, even myself, I'm eyeing very much, you know, because I've always had an idea to get into distribution, and but certainly we're me and some partners are eyeing some opportunities that exist in that space versus others, just because we've learned, you know, certain business will still be emphasized to continue to produce, such as food and what you're doing. So, you know, I think it's phenomenal what you've done thus far in the country with how many years altogether now have you been?
10 years in July.
10 years. Wow. So 10 years you've been, you know, pushing through it. I remember the first time I met you, in fact, it was at an event. I forget what the event was, but you were catering.
Pop-up restaurant. We did a pop-up restaurant. And I remember meeting you too, and I was like, oh my God, I wonder if this diaspora guy will be here. You're still here.
It's still chipping away, right? Because, you know, it's not easy. Even myself, when I meet people for the first time, I'm like, well, I hope they're, and then you know, chances are in a year, my percentage thus far is about 50-50. And it's fun, and it's you know, in terms of seeing folks, you know, succeed. But I'm telling you, the ones who don't succeed, they are jaded and they are mad, and these are the ones that are
going to make a lot of people not come here,
right? And these are the ones you meet in America. These are the ones you meat stateside, and Haiti is this and that. Don't you dare, right? And
have you also noticed a pattern of what made their process experience not successful? Have you ever thought about it?
Yes. So a lot of these folks, they don't come with a plan. Like literally, they come and they showed up. Yeah, I had this the level I mean, it's hard to differentiate naivety, because I was pretty naive coming here initially as well. You know, high hopes and everything. But the naivety on their part is just like, as you ask them specific questions, like, okay, cool. So where are you now? Oh, I just got an apartment. Okay, what's your support network, right? Who do you know? Like, and not in the sense of, because, you know, the blanket, you know, difficult stereotype is only people who are connected succeed. No, but literally, of who you know, how well do you know them, right? And so these sort of structural, like what I'm trying to get at when I meet someone new is, what is your structure, your foundation that's going to give you stability in a very unstable country and situation, right? And that's really the to me, and that's why I advocate to so many people who are in the first coming here, is do it slowly, do it carefully, do it, you know, through networking, and really getting the feel for the culture and the feel to increase your stability, right? And that to me is what differentiates when I really analyze those who, you know, a year later, who have it it's those who are able to get stability as quickly as possible. How about you, Regine? What have you seen?
So that's actually and I have another friend of mine who always says that, and she always tells me that's the reason why I've been able to stay, because I have stability. Like my husband, I have kids here. My family support is here. I mean, my siblings that I'm very close to, my parents aren't here, but I have like a new network here. And so if I left Haiti, it'd be like I was leaving home. It would be hard. It would be like the same thing if, probably even worse than when I left the US. I would actually have to like pack up a house. I would have to sell things. It would be a process to leave. And my pushback always is I think one of the reasons why I've been successful in Haiti is that I didn't have this, I didn't have a very specific expectation about what I was going to be able to accomplish. I came and I thought to myself, and I just sort of came, and then that was it. I mean, you know, it's funny. I didn't have much of a plan, but I did have a strong support network here. I have my family here, my extended family, and then I met my husband pretty early on, who I dated, and then I met my other business partners. And so for me, I felt like a lot of the people I meet have this like grand dream that they're going to be super impactful. Like they're going to get involved in this, and then like 6 months later, they're going to create all these jobs. They're going to change all these lives. People are going to be so grateful for them being here. They're going to, you know, become this part of the politics. They're going to be in this. And there are these really grand dreams. And I'm always thinking to myself, I wonder if that's the reason why I haven't been jaded, is because I didn't have the expectation that I was going to change people's lives. I didn't have the expectation that I was going to be part of development. I didn't have the expectation that I was going to do like these huge, big things. I just sort of, you know, I came and I started working and I saw what I was good at, and I continued down that path. Now I can look back and say, okay, I have had an impact. I have done X, Y, and Z. But at the time period, I wasn't trying to do that. I was trying to do the best job that I could with the resources that I had. And that for me is, I can never be jaded about Haiti, because I didn't expect to do these huge, grandiose things. I just wanted to use my talents in a useful way, and I wanted to be challenged. And for sure, Haiti will always be able to offer that. I will always be challenged in Haiti, and I will always be able to use my talents in useful and different and creative ways. Haiti is a puzzle all day long.
And you hit it around the head, even for myself, is that my ventures are still about. I've dedicated less resources in some as I transition to others. I've built in my ventures a sort of, and you mentioned that even with yourself, how your not-for-profit kind of helped you facilitate your business, and then now what you've learned is helping you facilitate your consulting. Even myself, my businesses have all sort of connected with each other in a way where, you know, my initial staffing company helped funnel the folks who I hired for my outsourcing, and now both my operations, my administrative operations, and my staffing are both combined and moving together to help me set up very efficiently my distribution company. And so there's a flexibility in operation. But most importantly, I never had this fixation on, no, I've come here, staffing, got to do it. I did it. I saw the realities. I transitioned as necessary. Yeah, right. There's a degree of flexibility you have to have if you're here. And at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you, Regine, I don't even need to do business. There's just the fact that I'm back in my country. You know, folks know I also function as a digital nomad, right? I don't need to open up businesses, right? I can just sit back, you know, collect a very healthy paycheck and invest and do traditional ways, and not even get into the risk sky of business. But I'm just happy to be here, and that alone is worth it. And I think folks need to be able to have that too. When they come here, they have to be able to say, okay, cool. If it fails, it fails. I'm just happy to be here, man. I'm just happy, all the difficulties and issues. I just have to be comfortable here, right? And that's the question. A lot of these folks are never comfortable or get uncomfortable, right? And so that's just my 2 cents.
That's definitely that's important. I guess I've never really thought of that as well. Yeah, you made a good point about that, is getting comfortable here. And I'm trying to like analyze who I've seen that have come and gone. And yeah, you're right. There hasn't been much of a solid footprint here. Like, it wasn't like this place fully became home. Like, you know, when you visit somebody's house and it doesn't fully feel like home, it kind of still feels like they're in transition. Like boxes are kind of all over the place. And like, I remember when people come to my house, they're always like, wow, this is a set up kitchen. And I'm like, where do you live? You don't have a set up kitchen in your house? Like, don't you cook in your kitchen? And like, my house is my house. And it's always funny when people come over to a house, they're always like, oh, your house is so nice. And I'm like, what do you mean it's so nice? It's a house. I'm sure your house in the US is the same way. And so I just think that there's maybe like a mental switch of making something home.
Do you own, or you and your husband, do you own?
Yeah, we're in the process.
Okay, see, I asked that.
Yeah.
Process. Okay. See, I like that. I like that because I've noticed that too, is that most folks, when I go to their spot, I ask, do you rent or do you own? And the folks who are able to say they own, that's a big indication they're going to stay. And also those who, again, in transition, are those who, you know, have some sort of, say if it was owned by a family member, right now it's theirs, right? So stuff like that, some of that shows connection for someone. Yeah, I'm just renting this out. Another lead indicator, as they say. Yeah. Right.
I don't have a stove. I don't have a full stove. I have like a quarter stove, and I kind of use it.
Yeah. So, but no, this has been a great conversation, Regine. I've gained a lot out of it. I think that's where we're probably going to end it. I think I want folks to make sure that they head over to MyaBèl to get, because the business still in operation, still sells exceptionally great products. And listen, Miss Issa, who's the major shareholder, she wants her stock to go up.
Yeah, it's our college fund here.
So she can sell just like one share and then go to college and still keep majority, right? So make sure y'all go and support that, right? Regine is on Instagram. We'll put Regine's Instagram out there. Issa, again, I love your baby. Yeah, I tell my wife all the time, listen, I need a baby like this. Like I need you to give me this.
Pretty perfect in my very unbiased opinion.
Yeah, I love how she just seems to be so connected with the she listens to Tambu, and my goodness, I remember my favorite. She's so Haitian. Favorite video I think just was reposted on the Union Suite was when she was doing the conch shell.
Yeah,
I love that. Right, and so so make sure
she's also on Instagram if anyone wants to follow her shenanigans. This is what you do when you have more time on your hands. You start an Instagram for your
baby. So we'll add that as well. And also your consulting, is there a preferred way for folks to reach out to you if they want that?
Not yet. Work? Okay. Just my regular Instagram pages.
Okay. You can reach out through your Instagram. Okay, no problem.
No problem.
We'll put that in there. And I guess, what's your final thoughts, Regine, as you look back in terms of your experience and you professionally and where you are now, and as it relates to, helping the Haitian diaspora listening now to engage, what's the final word? What's your final thought here?
So I guess my final word and final thought is that having had all of the experiences that I've had in the different industries, good, bad, crazy, like very strange experiences, but also very positive. I want to say that I do believe in the probability and possibility that Haiti can be a country that can service and provide for its citizens, those that are living abroad and those that are living in Haiti. And I do actually believe with the right set of events, it could happen in our lifetime. So our being people in their early 30s. I absolutely think that my daughter at my age could be in a country that is able to provide for her citizens. Absolutely, without a doubt. And I think there are many different ways that the diaspora can get involved. And it doesn't have to be as committed as you or I, where we've, moved to Haiti, we've invested, we've done blah, blah, X, Y, and Z. There are many different ways of engagement. And I think if you have a need and you have an ability, you can figure out a way to be helpful to Haiti, whether it is lobbying, whether it is engaging in the U.S. government, because let's face it, that's a big part of what happens in Haiti, whether it be investing and supporting in businesses. There are so many different ways that you could do your part.
I love it. And we'll take that to heart. Right. Those who are listening, again, it doesn't matter how you do it. Just do it. just pull the trigger, because we need you. Haiti needs you, because, the folks here currently, they don't, they're lacking different components that you can provide to help get the country out the hump. And don't let the government get in your way. The Haitian government push through the spite until one day the government can finally get its head out of his butt and just finally start to help facilitate and genuinely move the country forward as
we just don't count on the government.
Yeah, we just can't count on it. We just can't. And most importantly, we cannot wait on the government.
We can't wait for it. Yeah.
Too many people are in need and suffering. Right. So we got to move forward despite. So that's where we're going to end it. For folks who know what the deal is, you already know we're on everything. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. You name it, we're on it. And so if you're watching it on any of those other platforms, make sure you hit that like, hit that plus sign, leave a comment, tell us about your favorite part and what you learned most about this, from this conversation. We're also on Facebook and YouTube, on SeeJeanty. Of course, those who are most familiar with myself and what we do here already know. Talk to us. What did you learn most about this conversation? Leave a comment, hit that like, definitely share it wherever you may be listening, right? Let's get some more folks in. Let's increase the return on information, the ROI, right? Which is what all this is all about, right? And my people, the Haitian diaspora, Live in Haiti podcast. This episode is wrapped up in the books, but we'll be back next week while COVID's here. We're going to keep outputting these bad boys. So Regine, thank you so much. Thanks so much for right. And if you've gotten this far, thank you. All right. So until we're back at it again, we'll be back at it again. Peace.
All right. Okay, bye.